Welcome to all, and we are presenting Prashanth today, and he's talking about emotional intelligence. I was just looking at his background with a medical background, and did a lot of work on the leadership and management area. And emotional intelligence is one of his pet topic, as he said. So let us listen to him and learn, and we can start off. Thank you, Prashanth.
Thank you, sir.
Please go ahead.
So once again, good morning to everybody. I'm realizing that an elite group of privileged people over here, people who are doing our country proud, people who are doing our country proud directly or indirectly, and people who have invested their valuable 2 hours with us today. So thank you, Parameshwaran sir and Ms. Rekha, for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this group. And I hope I'll be able to make a good impression today. And my emotional intelligence actually comes out to have a good impact on everybody's knowledge area today. All right. So emotional intelligence is one such thing that everybody needs. It's not only, see, I have put up a slide saying emotional intelligence leadership. The moment I introduce this topic in this way, people think it is only for people in leadership roles. It is only for people who are managers or above that, who are directors, VPs, CEOs, CFOs, and things like that. But there's a big misconception. I personally believe that everybody is a born leader in some way or the other. It is just that we don't realize it inherently. But people around us keep seeing that we actually have been portraying leadership qualities time and again in our life. Yes, the kind of leader that I exhibit might not be the same for you. You might have your own style, somebody else might have their own style, and there is scientific classification for that. I'm not going to go into the details. But nevertheless, we all exhibit some kind of leadership. Let us try to understand as to what do I mean by saying that there is some kind of leadership we exhibit. All right. Now, the core topic today is emotional intelligence, and that too in leadership. So I define emotional intelligence as, in very simple terms like this: it is ability to control one's own emotions and the emotions of others. This is a very basic definition. In elaborate scientific will involve a lot of jargon. I have filtered out most of it, and this is what it says. If you are able to recognize your own emotions when it matters, this is the key word, when it matters, not all the time, when it matters, and you can recognize the emotions of the other people that you are in conversation with. Now, might be speaking, might not be speaking, but nevertheless, you can observe a pattern in the way he sits, in the way he talks, in the way he's behaving, in the way he has a facial expression, in the way probably he's just putting his hand to his chin, so on and so forth. And you can read what is the message he's trying to give you. That is an emotion. If you can recognize and read the body language of that person and recognize the emotion being conveyed through that, you are an emotionally intelligent person. Okay? Let us say I recognize my emotions, I recognize your emotion. Then what? Then what? What am I going to use it for? Or what am I not going to use it for? What am I not going to use it for is not a question at all, according to me. Because as you are using it for a successful, worthy ideal, I stress upon the word worthy ideal, that is towards mutual benefit of both people, it is good enough. That's a good enough cause for you to use emotional intelligence. It should be worthy, it should be beneficial to both. If you are going to misuse it in a way that only you are benefited, or you are passing on the benefit only to the other person, it is not a worthy ideal to use emotional intelligence. And the entire purpose of studying and practicing EQ or emotional intelligence is defeated. So this is the prime reason why you need to learn about emotional intelligence. Now, I'm going further down now. Now, what do I mean by a beneficial cause? What do I mean by a cause that is beneficial to both the parties involved or even multiple parties involved in the conversation? I just mean this. Whenever there is a conversation happening, it might be a very innocent conversation between husband and wife, between father and son, mother and daughter, father and daughter, mother and son, boss and employees, colleague to colleague, peer to peer conversations, consultant to CEO, consultant to researcher, R&D to sales, any kind of conversation. Even the conversation that we have with the Ola and Uber car driver, even the conversation that we have with the Tarkari Sabji wala, even the conversation that we have with the flower vendor, fruit vendor, the person who comes to pick up the garbage at our door, any kind of conversation that we have is driven towards a finite goal, is driven towards a finite goal, right? It's pretty obvious. Why do we deal with people? We deal with people because we have something to do with them. We deal with people because we want to be heard. We deal with people because they want to be heard. We want to listen and they want to hear us. We deal with people because we want to get something out of that situation. Or they want something out of the situation and we are a part of it. So either way, we deal with people at every aspect of life. We are currently in the COVID-19 situation where most of us are holed up in our own houses. We are not venturing outside for health reasons. Does that mean we are not dealing with people? Actually, we are more people now than what we used to do outside. Earlier, pre-March 25th, when we were all going to offices and going out there for our work or whatever it was, we used to deal with only a set of people. We used to have a meeting, 10 o'clock, I have a meeting, 11 o'clock, I have a meeting. So you meet 20 people in a day and our job used to be done. Now, sitting at home, we have technology at our disposal and we meet probably 50, 60 people within a span of 1 or 2 hours. And we are getting more work done. Does that mean our effort has been lessened in meeting people or it has been more? It actually means we are getting more work done with lesser effort. It is not the double. Earlier, when you had to physically travel, go and meet people, organize meetings in a physical space, so on and so on, more effort. All that effort has been all compacted into meeting into the confines and comfort of your home. But you are actually getting more work done. You are actually getting more work done. But either way, you are meeting people. That doesn't change, right? So when you have to meet people and you have to get work done, either that person benefited from it or you have to be benefited from it, or best case scenario, it has to be a collaborative approach. It is a win-win situation. People easily use this phrase called let it be a win-win situation. But to arrive at the term win-win, there is so much of back work that needs to be done, which not many people realize. For somebody to come to the table and think that only I should not win, the other party should also win in this situation, there is so much back work that goes on. And the basis of all that will be what we're going to talk today, which is emotional intelligence. What emotional intelligence also does is, the moment you start seeing other people, the moment you start understanding other people and their emotions, you start to look at situations from their perspective. You have a point of view, person who is also talking about the same topic, another point of view. Just, yeah, I understand is not the right way. You understanding what they are trying to convey is different. But understanding exactly the way they are going through with it, the way they are feeling it, the way they have understood the situation is totally different. It's totally different. To drive home this point, let me give an example. My apologies in advance because this is not a very good example, but nevertheless, we all go to our kith and kin's places when somebody passes away. Correct? We all have been in situations, right? Somebody is bereaved of their mother, father, spouse, somebody, and we go to express our condolence with these people. We do that, right? We visit them, we comfort them, and what do we say generally? It's okay. I understand. You have to move on in life. We say these words. We say these words in any language. It might be Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, English, Hindi, Sindhi, Marathi, Punjabi, Gujarati. We say these exact things. I understand. I can feel your pain. but we have to move on in life. Please comfort yourself. Don't we say this? Sunaran sir, do you agree with me, sir? We say this, correct? But what are we doing? Let us be very brutally honest over here. Let us be very brutally honest over here. I also have lost my father. You also have lost your father. So when I'm telling you that I understand your pain, am I just saying because it's only the loss of the same person or it is the loss of a similar person? There is a big difference. Your father is your father, my father is my father. Let us understand it very clearly. What emotions, feelings, memories you are connected with your father is different from what I connect with my father. So when I say I understand your pain, I'm just trying to tell you, I also have been through a situation like this and I know what you're going through. There is a big difference. I know what you're going through. That is accurate. But saying I understand is different. Okay? When you say I understand your pain, no, you cannot understand another person's pain. It is impossible for you to understand. The person is different, situation is different, his way of looking at life is different. He might be your best friend, he might be your own brother, he might be your own sister, they might be your own spouse, they might be your own children. But nevertheless, the point of time in which life is treating them to any situation. I brought about a sad scenario, it might be a happy scenario also. Okay? The way they are looking at things at that point in time is very different. It's very totally different. But this is the key. If you start analyzing emotional intelligence and make it a part of your own practice, you start practicing emotional intelligence. You start seeing people the way they want to see the world, the way they see situations, the way they interpret things around them. So, after having done that, after having done that, when your words, your actions say, I understand your pain, it will connect at a very spiritual level, it will connect at a very emotional level, and the person actually will be your lifelong partner in whatever you want. This is my guarantee, I'm telling you right at the start of the session. Okay? This whole process of doing this is a very core concept of emotional intelligence. This is what we call as empathy. EMPATHY. I'm sure all of you would have heard this. There is a joke that I certainly make I can make this joke only in India. I say there are three kinds of patis in India. One is what all the males probably over here are. We are all the patis. Another pati is the sympathy. All what our wives have towards us. That is sympathy. The other one is empathy. Empathy is what we need to have towards each and every living being who are around us. Empathy. Empathy. Anything is mobile, you can't probably have empathy towards your garden area, but you can have solid empathy about if you have any pets at home, you can empathize. If you have any kind of people who cannot express themselves, you can empathize with them. Okay? What do you mean by empathy? Let me define that also. Empathy means just this: getting out of your shoes. Getting out of your shoes, meaning to say, keeping your views, your viewpoint, your objectives of doing something aside, pushing it away for a few moments, getting into the shoes of whomever you want to empathize with, getting into their shoes, seeing how they see the world, seeing how they see the situation, seeing how they want you to understand them at the same emotional level and feeling for them without being judgmental. Without being judgmental. You might or might not agree. That is a totally different thing. Many times we don't agree with even our most loved ones. Our most loved ones. If you have been married to somebody for 25 odd years, there will be still some amounts of conflict here and there, and you don't agree all the time. We have parents who are living with us for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And after having seen us growing from a toddler till wherever we are now, they still don't agree with us. We have some minor skirmishes. Okay. Our own children, they don't agree with us and we don't agree with them. Our best friends who we have grown up with for 10, 20, 30 years don't agree with us. And we have a conflict of interest many times where what happens? We start to judge them. We start to judge them, saying that, oh, this happened because this person is like this. This happened because this person did this at that time. That person would not even have thought of that situation. But you are thinking on their behalf, saying, Usne tab ye kiya tha. He had done this at that time. That is the reason this is happening. Being the true Kitanke. You are being judgmental. Once you start practicing empathy and become more emotionally intelligent, it gives you the power of not being judgmental and seeing things in black and white. Seeing things in black and white and seeing things in the way they want you to see it, not the way you want to see. They want you to see it. Just imagine what I'm trying to say. The moment you start seeing the way other people who are close to you, it might be yours, it might be your boss, it might be your peers working in the office, it might be your own children. They want you to see what they are feeling. Imagine what a new world it will be for you. You start empathizing with them. Your relationships with them become so much more smooth. They are so much more devoid of conflict. Okay, and your relationships will be so harmonious. They will be thinking and you'll be acting upon it. How good is that word? How good is that even to think that people understand you and not only paying lip service, but they actually understand what you're saying. They are feeling it from here. That is what emotional intelligence
So,
actually does. And
Prashant,
that
so
is
there's
what
a
we mean
question
when
here.
we say understanding your own emotions and the emotion. Yeah.
In the chat box, somebody has put,
Yeah, Rekha, go ahead.
is being emotional or sensitive a prerequisite for emotional intelligence?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. I will come to that. Okay. One small request from all the people who are participating. I have just got started. So give me another half an hour, 45 minutes time. I'll definitely take questions in between and at the end of it, sure. Is that okay?
Okay, okay, sir. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Chat box. Okay. We will deal with each and every question. All right.
Right,
Oh,
sir.
okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. So that is what emotional intelligence is all about, and that's what it can do for you. Right. So this is what we can do as people. So why are we connecting this to leadership? That is the next logical, obvious questions, because I have said it is about emotional intelligence in leadership, not only for other people, in leadership. Let us see that. All right. Now, what is leadership? It's a very plain definition. People have exalted definitions for leadership about a lot of different things. My definition is this. And I'm sure you can fit in any kind of leader
Presentation is
into
stopped,
this definition.
Prashant.
Any kind of leader.
Sir,
No, I think
presentation is
that
stopped. Screen
one second.
sharing is stopped.
Sharing is stopped, is it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. One second. Now you can see.
Yes, yes. Now it is started again.
Rekha,
Yes,
the
sir.
next slide is visible.
Yes,
Sir, we can.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Thank
We
you,
can.
sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay.
So this coming to, why are we dealing with emotional intelligence in leadership? About leadership, and I say leadership is the activity of influencing people to strive, not work, to strive, meaning to go over and beyond the call of duty willingly. You should be willingly able to do it towards a group objective. That is leadership. Okay. You should not be a hard taskmaster where they'll say, if you don't do this, you will get fired. If you don't do this, we will undergo some loss. If you don't do this, your annual confidentiality report will be very bad. If you don't do this, we'll fail you. That is not the way a leader speaks. That is the way a manager speaks. There is a difference between leaders and managers. Okay. Yeah, but several managers are very good leaders, but most managers are not. That is the hard fact. So leadership is the activity of influencing people. It is not ordering people. It is not managing people. It is not administering people. It is influencing people willingly towards a group objective. It should not be the objective of one person. It should be something good for a collective group of people. The more, the better. The more, the better. So, if this is leadership, why does a leader need to know about emotional intelligence? That is the next question that anybody would want to. Now, what have I said? I have said it is the activity of influencing people. We agree on this? Leadership is the activity of influencing people, correct? That is what every leader has done. Take the example of the biggest leader that India has produced, the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. Okay. Who was he? He was a barrister who was practicing happily in South Africa. He underwent a trauma of getting deboarded from a first class coach because he was not racially inclined towards the white. And that is when he started his Satyagraha movement, which actually started off in South Africa. Then he realized that my own motherland is going through similar circumstances and it takes a ship to come to India. All right. Was he the first person in the freedom movement? Not at all. There were stalwarts like Gopal Krishna Gokhale and Tilak and people like that. India had already gone through the first war of independence, 1857. He was actually a pretty much newcomer at that time, if I can say so. That is in the first decade of the 19th century when he landed in India. In spite of that, people started accepting him as a leader very soon because he led from the front. He influenced people in a way where it did not cost them anything. At the same time, he showed them his vision of a free India which could rule itself. Which could rule itself. He reinvented himself again and again, be it through the Salt Satyagraha or be it Swadeshi movement or Quit India movement, the round table conferences, whatever it was, he kept on reinventing himself. And he did not only that, he started grooming a second level of leadership after him. Whether it was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel or Jawaharlal Nehru or whoever it was, he started grooming a second line of leadership. What was he trying to do in the way of doing all this? He was trying to do only two things. One, give them a common objective that fuels their passion. Yes, I am fed up of being in slavery and I want to do something. That was a collective object. Imagine a Gujarati English-speaking barrister coming to India and leading the freedom struggle. In today's times, it would have been unimaginable situation. But those were times when it was times of oppression and people took up this collective objective because it mattered to them. But it did not matter before Gandhi. There were also better leaders. No? There was Mangal Pandey, there was Jhansi Rani Lakshmibai. There were so many leaders. So why it did not matter at that time and why did it matter when Gandhi came? It was very simple. His way of influencing was more acceptable. That was what it was, nothing more. He did not talk about ideals. He did not talk about other things which people could not relate to in the simplest common senses. He spoke to them in their language. He spoke to them in their language. He spoke to them that you are getting beaten, but you're still wearing their clothes. Shed those clothes. You don't have to pay tax for salt that you produce, which is free of cost. This is the kind of language that they wanted to hear. He started telling them that if somebody is beating you up, this is not the kind of obedience that should be enforced. Go on to civil disobedience. This is the language that they wanted to hear. So for a leader to connect with his audience, they need to start influencing them in a way in which they want to hear, not in which way that I want to tell. They should be willing to hear in a way that they want to hear, and you need to speak their language, meaning to say you need to feel their pulse and do exactly that. And that is exactly what Gandhi did. Okay. So what did he have to do? What did he have to do for this? Pretty simple. Okay. So why is leadership taking Gandhi? What did he have to do? He had to maximize his own efficiency. Did he do it? Yeah. He shed his barrister clothes and took up to khadi. The moment you say Mahatma Gandhi, the next picture that you get in your head is of somebody spinning a charka. Somebody spinning a charka. So he actually practiced what he was speaking. It was easy for people to connect. He said, you spin your yarn and you make clothes out of it. Don't be dependent on other people. It was a superb example of telling people to be self-dependent. Okay. He was a great communicator. Well, we were not fortunate to hear it, but going by the books that we can read today, he was a great communicator. No matter who else was on the dais, people always came to listen to him, no matter what, because he could speak in their language. And when I was saying speak in their language, it was not only verbal communication, it was non-verbal. His body language, the way he practiced, the way he actually shed food, the way he actually kept his bare body open, saying that I have nothing to hide. These are all subtle things that are the subjects of body language training today, but things that he picked up probably long ago. Maybe he did not give it so much thought, nonetheless, each and everything, and more than anything, he understood the importance of relationships. He understood that even though he had been pitched willingly or unwillingly to lead the struggle, he could not do it all alone. It was impossible. It was a huge task because we were a huge country, different languages, different people, different nationalities, different ways of thinking. Some people wanted, some people did not want, some people were siding with the British. So many things to come. Most complex leadership style he wanted. He brought in each and every person who was having a similar kind of goal and object. Everybody was groomed to be a leader, and he maintained good relationships. So much to speak, he maintained good relationships even with the oppressors who were the British. And they also saw that this is a guy who is very strict, very obdurate, very stringent about what he believes in. But when he comes to the negotiating table, he's a thorough gentleman. He doesn't go on satyagrahas on the negotiating table. He will speak his terms. He is well read. He knows what he wants. That is the kind of relationships that he maintained all around. Okay? That is the kind of relationships what he maintained all around. But he had to organize people. Correct? He had to organize people. And what he had to do? Every time he went on a satyagraha, every time there was an oppression that was going on, he made sure he was there. Big, small, tiny, whatever it was. He would make sure he had his wings spread out. He knew what people were doing something. Every time it mattered, it was he over there, even in those times where travel was so difficult. Whether it was the Chaura Chauri incident in Bihar or Dandi March in Gujarat. See, it was a huge travel distance, Bihar to Gujarat, but he was there at every place. When nothing else was available, he decided to walk. So he made sure that he showed that he has the willingness to lead from the front by participating in it like a common man. It is the people who called him a Mahatma and not himself. It is the people who made him great. It is not himself. All right. He was a success multiplier in each and every way. He inspired tens of thousands of people across the country, no matter where he was, whether they could understand his language or not. But people were willing to take up cudgels just because he said it mattered. That is the kind of trust that he built in people. Why? Why did people believe him? Just because I say something, why should people believe me? When I practice something, when I display that what I do is what I'm saying, when I show them integrity in myself, when I convey my values to you again and again, when I open up my life in such a way that I have nothing to hide, I am practicing integrity. I can't have one rule for me and one rule for you. If I'm saying there is one rule, it applies to you, me, and the whole damn world. If I'm practicing integrity at that level, people will have no choice but to believe me. And that's exactly what he did. He went to the extent of disowning his own sons because they did not listen to him and they had taken on a different path. That is the kind of integrity this person practiced, and he inspired them. Every time there was an oppression, he boosted that morale, but by saying that, this is a small roadblock. It's okay. Our vision is big. This is where most leaders fail. Don't know. When they think of expansion, they think really people will also expand. They also will think. All of you have been in different posts. And you would agree with me that an employee who is happy doing a 9 to 5 job will always remain an employee doing a 9 to 5 job unless they dare to dream. The bigger the dream, the more the ambition, the more the drive, the more successful they will be. Fine. I have bigger dreams. So how do I do it? You need to align your dreams with what you want to achieve in life. And I'm not going only by career. I'm going even in the path of aligning my dreams with the organization that I serve. Aligning my dreams with the family that I'm a part of, with the society that I live in. Their dreams. We share common goals. Start doing that. You see vision in life, and when you show this vision to hardcore fans of yours, and they will be willing to do anything that you say. Let us compare all the goodness of Gandhi to another not so famous gentleman who lived in the same time, Mr. Adolf Hitler. He also had a vision. He also had a dream. He also influenced people. He also did a lot of things. But what is he famous for today or infamous for today? Right? When he realized that whatever he stood for, whatever he was doing was not pro-society. The world around did not accept it. He failed. He did not fail when the world war started. He failed the moment he started to dream because he thought, my dream is their dream. And he told them, he did not show them. He did not make them believe that this was worthy enough. It was worthy enough to achieve it. Gandhi showed them that this was worthy enough to achieve it. So, Prashanth, you're speaking only about Gandhi. No, sir, I'm not speaking only about Gandhi. Martin Luther King, Gandhi, 20 years down the line, and he says, I hear was relevant even today when he was fighting rights for the black people. Nelson Mandela quotes Gandhi saying that Gandhi was my inspiration. Nelson Mandela was freed in the year 1990 after 20 followed to all his people and massacre of temporary solution, but this would be long left to him. He knew that the only way forward was the whites because oppression had been happening for centuries. The present generation of whites were just doing what their masters asked them to do. And you know what? If you might not remember, he actually won the Nobel Peace Prize was then the white South African. That was the kind of emotional intelligence in leadership that we need to possess. Well, all of us Gandhi, but you can take one leaf out of it, forget about society. life so much of more service. And when I say our own life, I am only meaning our relationships. Our relationships with people. The way we interact with people, whether it is within our office, company, within our friend circle, within our family, relationships in such a way, there is collaboration, there is more affection. We can understand conflict. We can negotiate better. We can communicate better. That will solve a whole bunch of problems for all of us. Okay. I'm sure that all of you, that minimum one relationship for you or you're associated with that you wish had been better. I'm very honest in saying this on such relationship, which I hope had been better, but it is not. So emotional intelligence is one key that can sort out all these things and sort out the most wrinkled, the most torn, the most violent of relationships in a matter of days. Things that have been unsolved months and years together can be solved with one key of emotional intelligence. That is, so if a common man can get this kind of influence, anybody who aspires to be a true leader for good worthy cause. That is at that level. But who is stopping you, already a leader, from doing the same thing for your life, your family? That is where I'm coming from, gentlemen. A leadership is not only about dealing with subordinates. Leadership is not only about sitting in a plush office. Leadership is not only about getting on the dais and speaking or speaking at company functions or social gatherings. Everybody is a leader in their own right, as they have said, as I have been saying from the start. You just need to realize that. People around you would have realized that, but you would not have realized. You would have inspired one person. Go and ask your children. Go and ask. Don't ask them directly. Ask them. You think I have been a good person so far? You at least point to you collectively at least 10 different aspects of your life. You have your experiences, situation that you have been through, where they thought that your way of doing things was more inspiring to them than anything else. And you would not have paid any attention to it. Believe me, any attention. You would have thought it's a way of life for you. But for them, that one moment would have been a light bulb on moment for them. You would have exhibited true leadership. All right, let's go ahead. This is a simple equation kind of thing. Most important trait, as I've been saying in leadership, is to grow or foster, as I want to say, interpersonal relationships. Agree? Whether we are sitting at home, sitting in offices, or sitting wherever we are, we need to maintain relationships. Correct? Now, sitting at home, most of our children and spouses are bored with us. We fight more. When we were out of the office, when out of the home for work-wise, they were more probably at peace, saying that this person will come, go, he'll go to office, something like that. But now we are spending more and more time with them, and there is more conflict. What they are going through. There have been memes and trolls going around in WhatsApp and things going around. Most people who are office goers now, however, if they had their spouses or their wife or husband or whoever was taking care of the kitchen department at home, they are working more. They are working more now, supplying tea, coffee, snacks, more quantities than what they used to do. Have we stopped for a few moments to try to understand what they are going through? Have we stopped at any point in our way and thought like, yeah, they have a bit, probably I need to help out a bit. There was even a point in Bangalore, I'm sure, I mean, every other city also, where the house help or the maids, as we want to call them, they were all, and we used to sit down to work at 9 in the morning promptly. So who was taking care of the world around us? Have we stopped for a few moments and thought about that? Have we tried to make it any better for the people who are sustaining us? If only we were a little more empathetic and tried to understand them, we would have got an extra cup of coffee from the next day. How many of us have we stopped to see that our children cannot go out and play like they used to? They are hooked on to the TV or the mobile or tablet. That is the reason they are more irritable now. Hey, what does a child do? He needs more physical activity. Not every child is hooked to more physical activity. That is the way it should be. Unfortunately, they are not, no fault of theirs, no school also. And when they get irritated, we get irritated, father gets irritated, brother, sister, grandparents. Only you have thought about it. If only you have thought of, even if you have thought of it, you are the leader. Out of the 100 people who had a choice to think about it, you made the choice of thinking about it. You are a leader. And if you act upon it, you are a person who is actually emotionally intelligent because you understood what these people are going through. Whether it was your wife, your maid, your tarkari sabji wala, your kids, whoever it was. If you put yourself in their shoes and thought about what they are going through, you made a difference to their life. You were that much more emotionally intelligent than other people. You understood their situation. You understood the emotions that they are going through. You might have a sufficient bank kitty today and sitting flush even with three months of lockdown. I'm okay. I can lead my life. The same thing. Can the tarkari wala who's giving you vegetables every month, can he say the same thing? Probably his household runs because he sells. If he doesn't sell, it doesn't run. Have we cared to think about them? We have not much. Yes, there have been some self-help groups who are doing it, but how many of us actually made a conscious effort to be a part of that group? At the most, we give away some money and we thought our job is done. Right? That is the power that emotional intelligence gives you. It makes you think. It makes you think like the other person. It makes you care for the feelings of the other person. It makes you emote like the other person, most importantly. And that emotion, that feeling changes your thought process. Changes your thought process. And the moment you start changing your thought process, you will start seeing your relationships in a different light. You will start seeing people in a different light. You will start empathizing with people differently. And you will see that you become a more caring dad. You will become a more caring dad. You will have more loving children. You will have more affectionate spouses. You will have more inspiring parents. That is what emotional intelligence actually does. Okay, let's move on. In leadership, all right. If you want to achieve, okay, any kind of life that you choose, any kind of life that you want to have, you need this. Without this, you can't go ahead. Yes, you might be actually practicing this without having any knowledge. That's absolutely fine. We all do. If you are happy to practice it and it is getting you some kind of result, what will be the scaling up of the result if you practice it after getting the knowledge? Amazing, right? Without doing anything, if I'm able to achieve something, is one thing. After having gained the knowledge and doing it something is another thing. what will we stand to gain? If I know today how to change the punctured tire of my car, I do it mechanically because I know only to do that. If somebody taught me exactly what is the mechanics of doing that, where exactly to put the jack, how much to turn and things like that, I will get it done more faster than the local mechanic. Isn't it so? It makes you think once you know the process. It makes you think once you have the background knowledge about it. Practice will be so much more easier. All right, let's move on. So, to understand what is emotional intelligence in leadership, we need to know what is intelligence all about. I have been speaking about it so much, and I addressed one particular pillar of emotional intelligence, which was empathy. There are 5 pillars of emotional intelligence. I'll go for awareness, self-awareness. The second quadrant is, I'm going to deal with it individually. I'll just name it out right now. The second thing is something called as self-management. Self-management. Third thing is empathy. The fourth thing is motivation and resilience. And the last component of emotional intelligence is called relationships. Some of us might be practicing one or two key components. Fair enough. Some of us might be practicing some other 2 quadrants. Fair enough. If you are aware of all 5 quadrants, we can't practice all 5 all the time everywhere. However, getting the knowledge about all 5, getting the knowledge about all 5 gives freedom to practice any component suitable at that point in time, in combination with a different component also if needed. Let me say that again. Having the knowledge of all 5 components gives us the freedom to practice any component in time as needed, and if needed, with another component also, as and when the situation demands. That power you get. Okay, that power you get. That is what we need to have when we say that I want to practice emotional intelligence. You did not practice to teach somebody. You can choose to, but the primary essential goal should be to become a better person myself. Once I become a better person, only then I can teach somebody. Okay? You might be born and brought up in a, let us say, a defense kind of environment where discipline is very ingrained in normal kids. Doesn't mean that you are very strictly disciplined. Who are you? Who are the real you? Very few people in your life actually will know the real you. Tell me right now, sir. But I am sure you will agree that your spouse does not know the real you. Children does not know the real you. Probably, this is my wild guess. But the very few people who know the real you are your chuddy buddies. Are your chuddy those people who have seen that wild side of you, who have seen that you get tears in your eyes every time you salute to the tricolor. Probably they are the people who know that you never missed a Madhuri Dixit movie. Probably they are the people who knew that you get more joy in playing marbles than playing cricket. But you played cricket because your father wanted to play cricket. They are the people who know that you like the 2 rupee ice candy rather than the 200 rupee ice cream at some other store. Okay, they are the people who know real you, and I'm just objectifying things to give you an idea. They know the real you probably, if at all. This is true for my life, and wherever I have seen, these are the only people who actually know the real you, because we let ourselves freely, openly with people whom we trust implicitly. And there'll be only 3 or 4 people in all our lives. Who's that real you? Why do we need to be aware? Logical question. Only when you are aware of who you are, only when you are aware of who you are, you will know what comes naturally to you. Let us answer one more simple question over here. Is it better Is it better to learn a new skill to please somebody, or is it easy to harness that you like, to harness some skill and emotion that comes naturally to you? Obviously, the second option is better. No? Something that you already have, something that you are good at, something that you like, something that you're passionate about. Imagine if that itself can be shaped, molded, harnessed into doing something good for you. Not to say that the other learned skill is not useful, but this is more easy because you already have it. And how do you have it? You have it because you are self aware. You know who you are. You know what comes naturally to you. You know what is your style of leadership. You know how good you are in negotiation. You know that you can solve things. You know that you have a very calming presence of mind. Not many people know this about you. This has just got a little lost somewhere in the process of you starting a career, dealing with so many people, getting married, getting kids. So many other things happens in our life. No, this is somewhere got a little lost. Just shift away all the dust and polish it a little, and you'll see that everything in your life has been happening around this only. It is just that it is a little rustic. Polish it a bit. Kitne aadmi the? That is what Gabbar Singh says. We listened to that because we could visualize that situation. Okay, there are things like that which are ingrained into our memory that strike a chord with our heart. Those things we listen to. We listen to our parents. We listen. We see with our eyes, which is a very mechanical act. But when we observe, whatever we observe, we absorb. What we observe, we absorb. If you're talking to somebody and you have that urge, sometimes that, when you're talking, you're thinking side by side about what that person is saying, and you want to cut that conversation and you want to interject and say something, then you are doing great disservice to that other person. And what do? You are not replying, my friend. You are reacting. You are reacting. You have not even given that other person an opportunity to sum up or conclude or state their point. In between only, you're rushing through the conversation. You're saying, "Arey, no, that's not like this. Listen to me, listen to me." That person is like, "Hold on, listen to me, Baba. I started the conversation. This is my problem. Please listen to me." But you want to cut in between and you want to say, "That is not the way. You listen to me. I have been through this." You are reacting. You are spoiling the relationship then and there if you are reacting, because you are offering a great disservice and you're putting that person into a lot of embarrassment whether he accepts it or not. Many times, good managers, good leaders, good colleagues do this with other people. They don't listen. God has given us 2 ears and only one mouth. He has given a very clear signal: listen twice, speak once. But we don't do that. We try to react. The appropriate way of doing it is to respond. Responsiveness is equal to thought with listening. Thought with listening will give response. Only thought without listening will give reaction. The moment you start doing that, you become more self managed. You can manage your emotions. You can control that urge not to speak. You can control that urge not to see what is not to be seen. You will see the good in everything. You will listen to the better in everything. You will see emotions are not only about controlling your mouth. It's not only about controlling your limbs or your heart or something. We perceive this world through the 5 senses that we are bestowed upon. We perceive the world, we hear, we see, we hear, we touch, we feel, we taste, everything through these 5 senses. So we perceive the emotions that people convey to us through these 5 senses. Imagine that pal payasam that you had after a very long time that your mother prepared. What a beautiful emotion that was. No? It took you back so many years in life. How you were when you were a child and mother used to make that pal paisam. It was so nice. That kheer that your mother made with all that cashew and that raisins and all that. It was so nice, no? The moment you tasted it, one spoon of that made you reminisce of so many things in childhood, how all your siblings used to sit together and enjoy that on a festival day. That is the kind of emotion that our senses give us. So start noticing as to how you respond more, react less, observe more, see less, listen more, hear less, and you'll become more self-managed. The third pillar of emotional intelligence is empathy. I have been talking about this. It's a core. That is why it is a third one. It's exactly at the center, empathy. Once you are more self-aware and you manage yourself well, you automatically start thinking on behalf of other people, not by being judgmental, but actually without being judgmental. You get into their shoes and see the world like how they see. You feel their emotion because you are in control of your senses and you empathize with them. There is no stronger emotion than empathy ever known to man. Ever. Ever known. We all have been caged up in our houses for the past 60, 70 days or maybe 80 days. Imagine all the animals that we go and see in zoos and all the wildlife national parks. They are caged up over there all their life. Did we get a sense of empathy at that time? How they must be dealing with it? We pay 20 rupees at the zoo counter, go and watch the animals. We feel so happy. We take pictures, we take our kids and everything, and we make a full, one day full gala event out of that. But have we paid attention as to they are caged up, they are devoid of their freedom? Are we empathizing with them? Something to think about, right? Motivation and resilience, the fourth component of emotional intelligence. Now, why does motivation fit into emotional intelligence? Why? As we had described earlier, it's about knowing your own emotion and managing your own emotion and knowing the emotion of the other person. And as I said, why it is important towards a finite goal. When you have goals, when you have a finite goal of trying to achieve something, when you have an objective of trying to get somewhere, a very objectifying thing like salary or a gift or reward is not enough. For some days, it is okay to get started. When the battery dies down in a car, when somebody's car battery or scooter battery dies down, what does the mechanic do? The mechanic comes with his own charged up battery. He will connect it. He will fire up the scooter or the car, and then he says, "Sir, don't switch it off. It will again stop at the signal. Keep driving. Always keep revving it up the accelerator. Keep doing this till you come to the battery shop. There you can give the battery for recharging." That is exactly what money does. It is only a temporary solution. Only till you find some intrinsic solutions, intrinsic ways of motivating. What better motivation than an emotion, actually? Let me paint a small picture over here. If I am thinking, I want to buy a house, okay? It's a good enough dream, right? It's a normal dream for all Indians. I want to own a house. Well, we all have different dreams. I want to own a house with a garden, with a swimming pool, something like that. Let us put some emotion behind it. I want to own a house where I can breathe in fresh air, where I can eat the produce of the land. It might be carrots, it might be ginger, it might be beans, whatever it is. When I can eat the produce of it might be something on a 60-40 site also. It not be somewhere outside. You can do some terrace garden. All right. I want to own a house where I can breathe fresh air, where I want to see greenery when I get up first thing in the morning. I want to own a house where my parents can spend their sunset years at peace and harmony. This is my goal statement on one side. Okay. Other statement is I want to own a house. Let us say I want to own a house in the most posh locality of Bangalore. That is one goal statement. Other goal statement, I want to own a house in the most posh locality of Bangalore where I can appreciate my own produce in my garden, where I can breathe clean air, where my parents can spend their sunset years in peace and harmony. Which do you think will be more inspiring and motivating for me to go and achieve it? Naturally, this one, correct? Paint yourself a good picture with emotions, but make sure it is possible to achieve it. I can't dream of saying, like, I want to have a palace, I want to have a villa. I'm not painting such picture. I'm just enhancing this with a little more emotion in such a way that it appeals more for me to go and achieve it. If I want to buy a car, I want to buy, let us say, I want to buy a Mercedes car. That is my dream. I want to buy a Mercedes car where I can take my family out for fun outings every month. I want to buy a Mercedes car so that we can go on family trips even to far off places. Which dream seems better to achieve? Where will I be more motivated to go for it? Obviously, this one. Correct. So, emotional intelligence. This is about emotion, but you need to be a little smart about it and trying to understand whether it is achievable or not. It should not be painted for the sake of painting the picture, but it should be achievable and realistic as well. All right. So that is the kind of motivation that we talk about. Okay. Now we're talking about motivation and resilience. What is resilience? Resilience is the ability to bounce back from any adverse situations, from any distraught situations, from some disadvantageous situations back to normalcy. That is a textbook definition of resilience. When we speak about resilience in the context of motivation and in the context of emotional intelligence, it means just this. Well, all the intrinsic motivation in the world can't help if the situation is adverse. If the situation is adverse, all the motivation in the world can't help. And you naturally, as humans, we gravitate towards the unwanted, where we are more discouraged from achieving our goal. What emotional intelligence does at that time, what resilience and emotional intelligence does is this much. It tells us that your goal, your motivated goal is very worthy. You are very much within your right because it is actionable, it is relatable, and you can achieve it. But situation is not conducive. So you have to be resilient and give yourself a little more time. Don't shift the goal post. Never shift the goal post as long as it is worthy. Be motivated to achieve it. Find another way. In a football field, there are two goalposts at both ends. There is no rule that the ball has to go in a straight line and hit and go into the goalpost. What do the players do? They take every other route to go to the goalpost. They go to every corner of the field. They keep tackling the ball from the opponent side, and they make sure the only goal for them is to go to the goalpost. Similarly, resilience also. Keep bouncing back and forth, back and forth. Make sure the goalpost is never disturbed. Your motivated goal, if it's worthy, if it is good enough for you and your family or the community, whatever the goal it might be, make sure it's there. Emotional intelligence or EQ, they're one and the same. It's called emotional quotient, it's called emotional intelligence, they're one and the same. So EQ gives you this power of holding your emotion, not to get discouraged. It makes sure that you are well within your limits to go and achieve it, even if you have to take some detour, even if it has to take some extra time. But nevertheless, if you have a finite goal, a fixed goal, and if it is worthy enough to be achieved, it will get you there. It will get you there, provided you are self-aware, you are self-managed, and you have that empathy built into you. All right. Lastly, this is like the summation of the whole emotional intelligence pillars. It is relationships. Each and every one of this, even though self-awareness is about you, self-managed is about how you manage yourself, all this is towards what? All this is towards what? About achieving emotional intelligence. And what is emotional intelligence? About knowing your emotions, knowing the other person's emotions, and having some kind of win-win situation where both of you get a good share of the pie. So once you get a good share of the pie and you're in a collaborative or a good negotiating kind of thing, don't you think it will foster relationships? That is like a natural corollary. Naturally, it will happen that once you start seeing people for who they are without being judgmental, once you start responding, once you start empathizing with them, once you start observing them, once you give them due credit, naturally, automatically, your relationships will start getting better, thicker, and deeper. That is what EQ does. These are the 5 pillars of EQ. All right, let's move ahead. So what is it facilitated by? I have already mentioned some of these things, so I will not go into much detail. I spoke this as a part of the previous slide. It is facilitated by the spoken word. How you respond, that is the third icon I have put up. How you respond, not react. It's about how you portray a body language. How do you use your body to show your emotion? To show your emotion. You can't be laughing at a funeral. You can't be crying at a marriage. Yes, there are some times where we get overly emotional and let emotions consume us. But momentary, fleeting things are okay. But some people portray the wrong kind of body language in the most inappropriate of situations, which convey totally wrong emotions and give away something that you really didn't want to convey. This harms your relationships. This harms even if you are a very empathetic person in the most critical ways that you can't imagine. Let me give you an example. If you have seen, whenever two political leaders meet, be it of any two countries, okay, let us say the president of the United States and the president of and say let us say Putin, the Putin, okay, president of Russia. Whenever they meet, I don't know whether they have met or not, but whenever two global leaders meet, the only thing that they do is they shake hands. They shake hands, palm to palm. They shake hands. All right. But Modi ji has a special way of saying, okay, he not only shake hands, yes, the hug is already there, but after shaking hands, what most people will not see is he will clasp the arm. He will clasp the arm. Okay, he will clasp the arm. Apart from India and a few West Asian countries like the Middle East and places like Italy and France, touching somebody without their permission beyond the palm and handshake is a strict no. They don't like it. Don't you think Mr. Modi will not be aware of this? These people are taught nuances of body language when they enter public office. Maybe some years back they weren't, but now they are very much taught. In spite of it, if somebody is doing it, means to show that he wants to convey something to the other person in a very subtle way that others might not understand, but the other person will definitely understand. When somebody is trying to clasp somebody's hand like this after a handshake, it means that I want to be intimate. I want to be seen as your equal. India does not want to be seen as an inferior nation. I am as good as you. I am as good as you. Isn't that a powerful message? We know that his oratory skills in Hindi are very good, but his oration in English is not that good. So what he can't make up with words, he makes up with action. He laughs. He laughs. He doesn't smile. With Manmohan Singh, we could see the people smiling. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a very good orator. Again, he had some withholding in English, but nevertheless, he used to only smile. Modi ji laughs. He conveys confidence. He looks them in the eye. I'm not getting political over here, pro or against. No, I'm just trying to read body language and some subtle messages. That's all. All right. I'm just trying to read signals over here. Some people take it favorably, some people don't. All right. So this happens time and again. All right. This happens time and again. So you need to see, you need to be careful about what kind of body language we are portraying. Normally, putting your hands up for people to be visible is very appreciated, meaning to say that you are not being secretive about anything, you're not hiding it. All right. Imagine in a situation where you're trying to negotiate some deal. You are sitting across with your client or customer, whosoever, and you are negotiating, let's say, money or some deal, some points of the contract or something like that, and you want to put your hands behind the chair, even momentarily. You're tired of sitting for a long time, and you want to put your hands behind the chair. It shows that you are getting a little tired and frustrated. The opponent will think, I can break this person now. That is the emotion you're conveying, an emotion of tiredness. You need not show, you can be smiling, but still you put your hands behind. You are conveying an emotion of being discouraged and tiredness. Okay, this is the power of emotional intelligence. Spoken word, again, we have been saying, using the right kind of language. And when I mean right kind of language, I don't mean jargon. I don't mean shortcuts. I don't mean abbreviation. All that is a strict in office environment. In home, probably it's okay. Again, when I say language, I mean always speak to somebody in the language that they can understand, not in the language that you are proficient with. You might be an MA in English. Your coworker, who is probably very qualified in the job, but who has some deficiency of the English language, don't make them feel bad if you want a good relationship with him just by showing off your English language. You might be doing it innocently, but if you are a good practitioner of EQ, you will converse with him in whatever language they feel comfortable in, because the objective over here is to foster a relationship, not to prove your superiority or that person's inferiority. If you want something profitable, something collaborative, some win-win situation to come out of this, make sure you use the right kind of language, the right type of language, which is different languages in different parts of India, the right kind of language. Even if you're speaking in English, don't be a Shashi Tharoor, where the person has to pick up a dictionary and refer to words and meanings. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. It should be as simple that a first standard student should be able to understand what you're trying to say. This is not a debate. This is not a competition. You are not getting any prizes. Your only prize is a good relationship, which is the best prize that you can get. So if you want to invest in it, keep it simple. The language and the words, don't make it complex. This is not a competition. All right. So you facilitate your emotional intelligence by the word, by the actions of your body, and by responding more and reacting less. Now, coming to the last part of this topic, I have a few tips to give leaders who want to build their emotional intelligence. Actually, who want to build is a misnomer. Who should build their emotional intelligence? All right. List the positive versus negative thoughts for yourself. Don't list among others. Remember, we are being non-judgmental. List the positives for yourself. Take a piece of paper. Take a piece of paper, a full-scale sheet of paper. Make two columns. Name the first column, I am not. I am not. Name the second column, I am. Okay? Start populating the second column to begin with. Okay? I am. But be brutally honest if you really want to be emotionally intelligent. Be brutally honest. I am a loyal employee to my office. I am a timekeeper, meaning to say you're punctual. I am considerate of situations that my families go through. I am a good father to my children, if you really believe in that. Okay. I am not. These are the areas of improvement. Okay. These are the areas of improvement. I am not a very supportive peer in my office. I am not a very supportive husband in some situations. I am not a very emotional person, that also can be. You need not be a very emotional person or sensitive person to being emotionally intelligent. They are two different things. They are as different as chalk and cheese. Okay, you might be somebody who doesn't cry at all. Even if the most adverse situations go on, you don't shed a tear. That is absolutely fine. That is just your personality, which is not bad. You are different. I am different. I accept you for who you are. You accept me for who I am. We are different. That's it. All right. There is no favoritism over here. There is nothing to say that I am better or you are better. There's nothing like that. You might be sensitive, I might be sensitive. You might not be sensitive, somebody else might not be sensitive. That is absolutely fine. That is absolutely fine. That has nothing to do with emotional intelligence. You can be a very emotionally intelligent person even without shedding a tear. That is absolutely fine. All right. So write out these things. I am not versus I am. And you will get to know which are your areas of improvement. Just be brutally honest. You need not show this list to anybody. To start off, write only 3 points on each side. To work on 3 takes quite a lot of time. Work on 3 points that you need. I will say write 1 point for your office, 1 point for relationships, 1 point for your relationships with or your social relationships, like your friends and neighbors and society and community and things like that. Just write 3 points on each side. All right. Second, draw a horizontal line, make 2 more columns. I can't, I can. Write out the I cans first. I can extend my working hours whenever I am needed. I can help out in my house whenever it's needed. I can cook a better meal when situation demands. Anything. Don't pass off anything as a flimsy thing. List out 3 capabilities where your leadership is exhibited. That is all I'm telling you. Just list out 3 capabilities where your leadership is exhibited. Let us move to I can't. I can't take ownership of the society chairman, of the society duties. You are not that person. It's okay. You are not the organizing kind of person and you are being honest about it. You don't want to shoulder the responsibility. You feel you are not adept at it. That is absolutely fine. Write it down. You can work on it. That's a good area of improvement. I can't manage accounts in my office. Yeah, you have an innate fear of numbers. Probably you don't feel so responsible when you're dealing with other people's money. So it's absolutely fine. Don't shy away from it. It's not a point of embarrassment. That's a point to work on. If you want to work on it, nobody is forcing you to work on it also. Okay. Not working on it does not make you any less emotionally intelligent. What you are doing by listing out the I can'ts is you are being more self-aware about what you can't do. And at the same time, by listing the I cans or I ams, you are being more self-aware about what you are, what you can do. So you are realizing some things for yourself. All right. So list out the I can'ts and I cans. List out just three points to begin with. That should be more than enough for at least the next 1 or 2 months. Okay. Third point, practice integrity and responsibility. Wherever I go, people ask me, or sometimes I also ask people, what is integrity? Most people say it is honesty. Some people say it is loyalty. And they give me vague examples. I give a very simple example. I am hoping it resonates with you people also. My example is this. If I am traveling in my scooter or car, whatever, I am traveling in my own vehicle along the busiest street in the town, which is empty at 12 o'clock in the night. At 12 o'clock in the night, if I am on MG road signal, which is empty, and there is a traffic light which is red at that color, If I stop at the traffic light when everybody else is crossing the signal, I stop and I wait for it to turn green, I am displaying integrity. I am not doing it because somebody else will say no. I am not doing it because somebody else will praise me. I am doing it because I know what is right and I will do whatever is right no matter somebody is seeing it or not seeing it. That is integrity. So, to sum it up, doing the right thing irrespective of what anybody else thinks or says or reacts to is integrity. All right. Responsibility is a very simple word. For me, responsibility is equated to maturity. People say, my son is 18 years old. He's going to college and all, but he's not very mature enough. How do you know? Yeah, he must have done something where you thought that he was not mature enough. Try to equate this maturity with responsibility by giving them some task, and you will discover that the moment they start feeling responsible, maturity increases by leaps and bounds, or the other way also. Okay. For me, responsibility is equated to maturity. The way you see people, the way you react to people, the way you befriend people that you have to in some situations, whether you like it or not, all that is a responsibility. Responsibility is taking ownership of the action, no matter whether it is good or bad. That is a responsibility. And that shows a lot of maturity, that you are okay to own up your mistakes and learn from it. That is maturity as well. All right. Now, we have done one side of the paper. Turn the paper over. Turn the paper over and make two columns. One side of the column, write what has to happen good. What has to happen good. Other side, write what has to happen bad. What has to happen bad. All right. What happens in our most of our lives is many small things which give us a lot of joy keep happening in our life, but we don't enjoy it. We don't feel they are very important. We always keep waiting for those big opportunities, like a house warming, buying a car, buying a house, somebody is married, some travel, but those things happen only 10-15 times in a whole lifetime. But there are so many small moments that we pass away saying that this is okay but not so important. At the same time, the slightest disruption in our daily routine and we feel bad. The slightest disruption in our daily routine, we feel bad and we make it feel like it is the end of the world. You are traveling to office. Let us say in a Ola or Uber, or your own car or bike or scooter, whatsoever it might be. And a puncture happened. Now, you are a person who goes to office every day on time. There has been a crystal clear white record of your punctuality. That one day that when you give the genuine reason that your vehicle got punctured and you got delayed by half an hour, your reporting person will understand it because you have been honest. But still, after getting it repaired and going to office by a good 30 minutes late, we still tend to bring the whole world down upon ourselves, saying like this is the end of the world. We are upset the whole day. Probably we will keep complaining about it till we reach home and we are still not satisfied. We will make that complaint a major part of our life. We will abuse the scooter fellow, we will abuse the corporation fellow, we will abuse every person that we can lay our hands on. Happens? You can extrapolate this to any situation in your life. Parent-teacher meeting for which you had sought 1 hour permission in your office got delayed by extra half an hour. So you reached office extra half an hour late. Your superior is able to understand because he's also a parent. But then for the next half an hour, all you were talking was how to badmouth that school, how those people don't understand your problem, how they made you wait outside. Well, you're not in control of some situations. You will never have control over some situations. If you can't change it, we need to learn to live by it. See how one small thing and we start to brood about it so much. On the other hand, some other good thing equal in size and we let it pass away so easily. After a very long day, you have come back home and your wife is seeing that you have been working so hard for 5 days and she prepares that one sweet that you like on a Friday evening so that you can sit back and relax and eat. But you just eat it without even paying her a compliment and you go back. You have let gone that one precious moment. So what good has to happen for you to feel happy? And what bad has to happen for you to feel actually very distraught? Think about this. Write it down. And after you write it down, change it. Change it in your life in such a way so that multiple bad things have to happen for you to ruin an entire day. But a very small thing in your life that brings a smile to your face should be able to lighten up another 10 people around you. That will get you happiness. Another great sign of a leader being emotionally intelligent. Okay? Lastly, I don't know about you gentlemen, but my father was a person who used to regularly write a diary. He used to have 2, 3 diaries, one for the office, one for house, and it was not only for appointments. He was a central government employee. He was a geologist, so he had this habit of regularly writing down 1 or 2 sentences only as to what went on in his day and what were his musings about it. That was an excellent way. Well, but he had one bad habit that he would, after 1 or 2 years, he used to put the diary to the Raddiwala. And I was not old enough to understand the weightage or the depth of what he used to write. But whatever little that he has left behind, when he is past now, so whatever little that he has left behind, it's a treasure for us. So if you want to discover yourself, and if you want your kith and kin to discover about you, start journaling, start putting it down, 1 or 2 points every day in a diary. I won't even say maintain a diary. Maintain some kind of a book. It might be 100-page regular size exercise book or notebook. Just put down the date, put down what you are thinking at that moment about some situation or something like that. And just forget about it. Don't think too much about it. The moment this starts thinking, you'll write 2 pages. Don't write 2 pages. Just write what your heart thinks at that moment, at that point in time, 1 or 2 sentences. Sign it, put the time and date, close it, and keep it somewhere safe. 6 months down the line, when you have a need, if accidentally you pick up that book and you see, you will get a whole new perspective and you'll think, Arey, this was me who thought like this. So nice, no? That day I felt so nice, and if I had not written this down, I would not have remembered this, yeah? Come on, this can't be me. What must have gone through me to write this? So nice. You would have discovered a new person, right? Start journaling. You will discover more facets about yourself. Forget about other people. Let us discover ourselves first. All right? That is another tip for a very good leader. Make a list of all the internal and external challenges that you face in every aspect of life. It is very easy actually to deal with external challenges. It might be traffic, it might be your maid, it might be something else along your way, it might be your vehicle, it might be metro, it might be office, colleagues, they're all external. Okay. There'll be a set way of dealing with them, but making a list will keep you prepared as to what might go wrong and how to deal with it whenever it goes wrong. It is that easy. It is easy right in front of us, but we don't do it. Internal challenges are what we are as people that we need to change if we are to surmount these challenges. How to change myself, how to not get bothered because of the traffic. I can't change the traffic in Bangalore, can I? I have only 2 choices. Either start early or start taking the metro. For that, I need to be more disciplined. I need to get up early. So that's an internal change that I have to. I have to make some adjustment in my life to make sure that this traffic does not affect me. And I have decided to take the metro, which will travelably faster. But I need to reach the metro station, which is 1 kilometer away. And my office, another 1 kilometer from the metro station in Indranagar. Okay, so I need to make that change, put in some little extra effort, for which I need to make some change to my routine. I need to make sure that I hold my patience, because in my vehicle I was king, but it used to take me 1.5 hours. In metro, I have to stand like this with 100 odd people. I don't have my own space in a metro. All right. I need to make an internal change, not to get frustrated. I need to make an internal change, not to get perturbed when somebody gives me the shoulder in the metro. Not because they want to, because that's how the crowd is. I need to make an internal change, not to get frustrated when I can't board a metro train because it is jam packed. I have to wait for the next train. I need to make an internal change just to calm my mind because I'm getting late for the train. See with one example how many changes that you need to make. And I'm only talking about one simple travel from your house to the office. So make a list of things where you are internally challenged. Make only 3 lists. Make one for office, one for home, one for people at home. How you behave with them. What are the internal changes that you would want made so that your relationships with them are different? How you can be calm, how you don't get frustrated, flustered with things, right? Practice resilience. It is easy to say, it's a little tough to practice, but once you start understanding that there are some things that are out of your control, you will be internally motivated to keep up that fuel of getting to your goal. Automatically, you will get back from any kind of difficult situation, whether you want it or not, because your goal is that much more strong. And you start bouncing back no matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody throws at you, you will be more well within your power to go and get it no matter what. Practice resilience. Listen actively. As I said, listen actively. Listen twice, speak once. When you're listening to people, make sure you face them as far as possible, eye to eye. If you're speaking on the phone, make sure that you're not talking on, if you're not watching the TV and speaking to them on the phone. You're not watching the laptop and speaking to them on the phone. Don't assume that the other person will not come to know. The moment your mind is distracted, your tone, your pitch, your voice, your resonance gives away that you are not interested in the conversation, and you lose a connect over there. Actively listen to what they are saying and don't judge them based on what you're listening. Think about it and respond. Give advice only if they ask. We have this natural tendency to give advice freely in India. Sabko baatte hain hum log. We give advice to everybody whether they ask for it or not. Don't give advice unless it is sought. Try to understand their situation. Don't judge them and hold it over there. Be their friend, be their partner, and you'll be doing a great service to your relationship. You'll be a good leader. Observe people. Don't stare, observe people. You did not look at a person constantly to observe them. You can make out subtle movements, what is going on within the peripheral vision of your eyes. Observe, not all the time. People whom you want to influence, people whom you want to inspire. What is the difference between influencing and inspiring? Simple. Sachin Tendulkar is inspiring to a million other people. There must be at least a million people who took up cricket because they saw Sachin Tendulkar bat the way he wants. All right? Because he was also a middle class person who had to struggle hard for everything, and he came up because sheerly of his talent and hard work. That is inspiration. Is Sachin Tendulkar involved in developing these people's careers individually? No, he is not. He inspired them. Does he know the names of even 10 of these million people? Absolutely no. He is only inspiring because he is the person who did it and showed that it can be done. That is inspiring. What is influence? Influence is about telling people that there is a greater good that is going to come out of this situation, provided you are a willing party to it and you also join hands. You also join hands in this collective cause where everybody will be benefited. Like how I was giving the example of Mahatma Gandhi. He influenced people where he told them, see, I can't do it alone, guys. I am here because I can talk on your behalf, but you need to let me have that freedom of talking, but I will talk only that will not harm any of us. If we go into this together, I can promise you that we will get out of this together as a free nation where we can govern ourselves. We can have our own government. That is influence, where you have a large influence over a number of people. It can be an organization also, but the principle holds good, right? Lastly, share values and interests. If you want to open up as a person, if you want people to trust you, to see that you are a person who practices integrity, who's motivated, share what you believe in, share your vision repeatedly, time and again, every given opportunity, not to the point of boredom, but in different ways as to how something got you inspired to have this dream, to have this vision. This is your value. This is your value. This is your interest. And you are doing something about it. That is just not a dream. You are working about it. That shows your interest in it. That shows that you are not paying only lip service to it. That shows that you are serious to do something about it. Okay? When you start doing that, people see that you walk the talk. You are not a person who just says things. You are a person who actually does things. Why wouldn't they believe you? And when you're doing this, connecting it back to emotional intelligence, you are demonstrating that you are involved in the general good of people. You care about them. You care about their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, and you want to push them because you know it is for everybody's good. And you are just being in the leadership role because nobody else probably knows better. And your next responsibility will be to make sure that you grow more leaders. When they see that this person is not hanging on to the leadership role because of power, but is interested in the general good of things, and you are okay for somebody else to take the lead, and you are okay to be one among the common people, you will be an undisputed leader no matter what. Every leader who thought like this was undisputed. But every leader who held on to power fell after a point of time. Go back in history and you'll be seeing that I'm very much correct on this point. The moment you hold on to leadership, you fall. The moment you hold on to people, you become undisputed no matter what. Classic case, Indira Gandhi and the emergency. She held on to power and she fell. She came back with saying, Garibi Hatao, she won. You need to know how to hold on to people and not power. That will make you that much more emotionally intelligent.